Casey Wilson, owner of Roseville Strength and Conditioning in beautiful Roseville, California. And this is
Brad Erie. And you know what? I did a full week of laundry and I just automatically pulled this shirt out again. I'm sorry. Like,
this is my shield.
Yeah, you wear this shirt almost all the time.
Roseville Strength and Conditioning.
I somehow managed to put this shirt back on. I didn't mean to. I mean, clearly it's a new day.
So this is the Do or Do Not podcast, minus Brad wearing his Captain America shirt. So today we're going to talk about macronutrients.
My favorite.
I get a lot of questions about nutrition
in my job
because I make meal plans for people and I break stuff down for them and we try to and there's so much information out there and there's so many fads. There's so many, this really works or that really works. And there are things, before I get too much into macronutrients, there are a lot of stuff out there that's going to work. Okay. But is it sustainable? So I want to go over what macronutrients are today because it became very popular maybe 3 years ago. Everyone started talking about macros. Here's what my macros are.
What is a macronutrient?
Basically, they're essential nutrients that your body need to function on.
Protein? Carbs? I don't know. I was just guessing.
Fat.
Hey, fat. I got two.
That's
two out of three.
Those are your three. They're the essential nutrients you need for your body to function.
That might be my greatest accomplishment outside of my kids.
I'm your fucking trainer. I do say this shit to you on occasion.
I guess it kind of comes in. I don't know.
You absorb some of it.
Oh.
So basically macronutrients are carbs, protein, and fat. Now, is there different variations in all of those? Yes. There's good carbs, bad carbs. There's simple sugars, complex carbohydrates. There's meat protein. There's bullshit tofu and all the freaking vegetarian proteins.
What about caramel delights from Girl Scouts? What do they fall under?
That follows
nuclear waste.
That falls under the stuff that I don't give people in their meal plans. Right. But that would fall under carbohydrates and simple sugars. So, but and it's still a nutrient. Like, it's just not a very good nutrient if you're going to talk about it. But a lot of us also like sweets, like myself. I love some sweets, but don't want to eat a lot of those. So when we get into macronutrients, basically carbohydrates are your main energy source. That's your primary energy source. So I brought some notes here today to keep me on track and go over things.
So you don't pull a Brad?
Yeah,
that's going to be our new shorthand.
I prepare for this stuff, and I actually did this present. I also discussed some of the same things.
Yeah.
In my mastermind group a week ago.
Don't pull a Brad.
Yeah. So if ever I get stuck, I can go, I just pulled this and this because there's so much information. I want to make sure I'm giving you good information. So carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Number one of the macronutrients we'll talk about.
Yeah. So you don't agree doing carb-free diets?
I don't.
Cut down on carbs?
I don't disagree. My problem is okay, so here's an easy way to explain it. You remember Atkins diet, which is basically a keto diet.
Yeah.
But keto's a little people that really are serious about ketos and ketones and stuff, and they're actually, testing their ketones and stuff. It's a little more scientific than the Atkins diet. The Atkins diet was just more of a guideline.
Yeah. I
read the Atkins book, but what they don't tell you is only 10% of the people do it for a full year.
Yeah.
Meaning people go, I did Atkins and I lost 30 pounds. Great. A year later, I gained all 30 pounds and an extra 5 pounds back when I stopped doing Atkins, because it's really hard to maintain doing that your whole life.
I was going to say, to never have a carb again seems very hard.
Yeah, or just even have 50 grams of carbs a day.
Yeah.
Which would still have you in ketosis. It's very hard because your body runs. So carbs regulate blood sugar in your body.
I didn't know that.
So, like people are insulin resistant and stuff, blood sugar, carbs actually regulate that. And also carbs. Have you ever talked to anybody who's on keto, eating ketosis and they're very low carbs? And grumpy? Especially when they're new to it.
That seems miserable.
It's like a brain. So carbs help your brain function. Your brain functions off of sugar. Glucose, how it breaks down. Yeah. We'll go over the energy system in a few minutes. But they get brain fog. So those are your three things. Primary energy source for your body to function. Yeah. Like when you come in to do a workout, you're going to burn through a bunch of sugar first.
Yeah.
All right. And then it'll start getting into stored energy in your body, which is fat, one of your other macronutrients. So
I know a lot about fat.
Regulating blood sugar.
Yeah.
And then your brain functions off of glucose and functions off of sugar. All right. So
they can be like in a
starve your body of sugar. But people will adjust to a carnivore diet or a ketone diet. It just takes them a while.
Well,
But
clearly,
a lot of them take nootropics to help their brain function better because all of a sudden they realize they're foggier in the brain because they have less carbs in their diet.
I think I was doing a no carb diet when I did my podcast solo. That's my story.
That was it.
Sticking to it.
He
Total brain
He was
fog.
on the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
So that's basically what carbs. Now,
okay.
The carbohydrates, you have different types. So you have simple sugars, which actually come down to a lot of your processed sugars. So meaning when you eat a Snickers, it's a bunch of simple sugar.
Yeah.
Right? When you eat fructose, fruit, just you have a bunch of raspberries or pineapple or orange or whatever you're eating. Fructose is a simple sugar. The way the body processes and breaks it down is the difference between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. So there's different levels to it. I'm a big fan of potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice. Those are things that are natural. I'm a paleo type person. It has to come from the earth.
Yeah.
Meaning if you get something that's been processed in a box or a can, it still have some nutritional value if it was those base things. But a lot of times you lose that. And you also add a lot of preservatives, and people add a lot of like vegetable oils and a lot more salt and stuff, to try to make things taste good when they're in cans and boxes to get you to buy another can or box of it. I'm more of a fan of staying on the outside aisles of the grocery store.
Yeah.
You're in fruits and vegetables. You got the meat aisles, maybe the deli aisle. Stay away from the bakery aisle, even though it's on the outside. But if you're going to do it,
that's a good way to. It's a good slogan. Stay away from the aisle.
I didn't create that. That's been around for years.
All right, that's the first time I've heard it.
But other people was like shop on the outside of the store because usually that's where the refrigeration is and the cold stuff, and then also usually in the middle is where they have all the aisles lined up with all the stuff. And some of that stuff in those aisles is fine. There's vegetables that come from cans and fruit and frozen fruits and vegetables and stuff too. Just for the most part, most of that stuff is not good for you. It's very high in carbs, very high in preservatives, and all the and all the stuff in the fine print.
I have a bunch of questions for you that I would like to ask. My protein
shake, but when you start looking like this one, these do not have a bunch of that stuff in there, so I can't read off all those things. This actually is pretty healthy. This is my favorite shake to drink. It's 40 grams of protein, 270 calories, 17 ounces, 8 grams of fat, 1 gram of saturated fat, 9 grams of carbohydrates, and like I said, 40 grams of zero sugar and 40 grams of protein. So when you grab one of those things and you look at it and it's a bunch of words you could barely pronounce, not good. Okay. Do you need all those things in your, no.
Yeah.
So that's where you got to stay away from that. The processed foods, and a lot of those processed foods have a lot of vegetable oils in them, which create a certain chemical react. I won't get into all the,
Which oil is the best if you had to cook with? Vegetable, olive
and avocado.
Okay.
But
I don't want to
peanut oil. Like you. when I used to have a deep fryer because I would I'd cut up potatoes and sweet potatoes and throw them in the deep fryer. I had peanut oil in it.
Yeah.
But vegetable oil, never.
I'd
get on my daughter because she was buying vegetable oil or canola oil. Canola oil and vegetable oil, no.
All right.
But I'm a big fan of when I saute like vegetables and stuff, I use butter. Just straight good old butter. But I also will use
salted.
I will use, and I put a little salt and pepper on my sauteed stuff and a little bit of garlic powder usually. That's why I do my asparagus and my I cut broccoli up into small pieces and then I saute them so they get crispy on the outside at high temperature. Yeah, I like to cook.
Yeah, we do butter. Sometimes we do.
Don't do margarine. Margarine is a hack. It's bullshit. Yeah. Don't do it. It's a scam. Butters, you know what? These simple things they were making butter back when everybody was healthy in the United States.
Yeah, lard. My grandma used to cook with lard.
This is the thing is our problem is we don't work hard anymore. We don't do manual labor.
Yeah.
Life is not hard. It's easy. And then we eat a bunch of stuff other people give us and box up and the canned stuff, and we eat way too much of it. And then we wonder why we have all these health issues.
Yeah.
They're
poisoning us.
We're also, getting all these shots and immunizations and COVID shots that fuck you up too. But with that being said, we'll digress from that. But the second one is protein.
Yeah.
So protein is very important. It's basically what repairs your body. It is the building blocks of muscle in your body. So can it be used as an energy source? Yes, but it's not an efficient energy source.
How much protein should an average male or female have?
That depends on your workout goals and how you want your body to look. And so if you come in and say, I want to be a bodybuilder, I'm going to give you a lot more protein in your diet.
Like 165 grams a day or something? Or?
Well, we get down into how many grams per pound of body weight you have.
Okay.
So let's say you weigh 100 and what are you weighing right now?
I
200, 201?
I weigh 201.
Okay. See, look at that. Right there.
I know.
Let's say you weigh 197.
Yeah.
And you want to really bulk up and become like, all right, I want to lift heavy and I want to get stronger. I'd probably have you eating a gram per pound of body weight a day, spread out throughout the day, not all at once.
That's a lot of those drinks,
but
man.
For most of my weight loss people,
yeah,
half a gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
And sometimes 0.75. It just depends on the person. It also depends on if I have somebody who's a carb freak who just loves bread, they love pasta, they can't get away from these things. Then I'm trying to cleanse their palate, so I may have them do a higher protein intake. Yeah. There's little things that you do. So protein, obviously, it's your building blocks of muscle. So protein, when you eat it, let's say you eat a piece of red meat, or white meat, whatever it is, and your body takes it, breaks it down basically into amino acids. Amino acids are what repair your muscles, repair your body. So, like, let's say you do a weight training workout, you're doing like Brad. He loves doing the curls.
I like doing some curls.
Curls for the girls. That's all Brad does. I watch the video. Sometimes I'll click and the security cameras. And Brad's in here doing curls and tricep extensions. If you're doing that, you're making minor tears in your muscle fiber.
Yeah, I'm writing questions if we have time because I have a bunch of stuff to ask.
Okay. So you make minor tears in your muscle fiber, and amino acids are what repair those minor tears. It's very, very simple way of saying it, but protein breaks down amino acids. Amino acids make repairs in your body and into your muscle. Or like if, let's say you go and you rode a bicycle for the first time in 2 years and all of a sudden your legs are really sore. Well, you're going to need protein in your diet and amino acids to repair that. All right. Also, the other things, it supports your immune functions. Protein does. And it can provide energy. It's just not a very good energy source. Fat, your third macronutrient. So fat provides energy. So it's not as effective as carbs, but it is a stored source of energy. So it can be used as energy. It's not your first bioavailable energy that you should use. Stored energy is fat on your body, the stuff we want to get off. So when somebody comes in and wants to work out,
of stored energy. That's all I'm saying. This is a lot of potential energy right here.
Think about how much potential.
Yeah, I lost a lot of potential energy.
Almost 100 pounds of less potential energy now. So if you want to do that, you have to burn fat calories off your body. But you got to remember the first time when you work out, it's going to take, most studies show 16 to 20 minutes to burn most of your available energy off in your body, going at more of a zone 2 level. Then you start tapping into fat calories. So that's just for an average adult. Everybody's a little different. If you're a ketogenic person, you're going to tap into burning fat off your body a lot faster. That's why those diets are so popular, but they're very hard to maintain. As we were talking at the start, can you maintain staying on ketosis the rest of your life? No, but very few people. There's such a small percentage. People say, oh, it's not that hard to do. Hardly anybody can do it unless you're a freak about your body and you're probably a narcissist and you're just like want to be shredded every second of the day. And you think, oh, I can't. The only reason that it works like a carnivore diet works really good is for people. There's been shown that it helps a lot of people with autoimmune diseases. And hey, I'm a meat eater. I love meat, but I eat my carbs too. I eat my vegetables. For the people, some people go, oh, vegetables are bad for you, and that's bullshit. Yeah. Are there some negative aspects to certain vegetables and eating too much of certain vegetables? Possibly. But when people go, oh, it's really bad for you. No, it's not. Like eating sugar is really bad for you.
Hey, stop eating those.
Eating that bag full of
cabbage.
Bag full of Easter candy, with Easter coming up and stuff. Because trust me, I love that shit. I love sweets. Give me a Reese's peanut butter cup and I'm a happy man. Oh. I just have to stay away from that stuff at certain times, especially when I'm really wanting to lean out. Like I lost a lot of weight during Christmas time, and I just learned how to manage those calories. I lost 14 pounds during the holidays because I was going to be running a race. I needed to not have those 14 pounds on. So also fat protects your organs. So you need some fat.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't know how many people have seen like the pictures of the human body when somebody, and they'll put a picture of a normal person
Yeah.
as a normal body fat percentage, just, normal guy, not a big muscular guy. Then they'll have an obese person right next to him. And you see their stomach and there's just all this visceral fat in it.
Yeah.
Well, you should have fat to protect your organs. Your organs are kind of encased in fat. The problem is when you get obese, like back when you were 300,
300 pounds,
your whole stomach was just full of fat. And it's almost like you think about, I've heard doctors talk about how it suffocates your organs. It puts pressure on your organs.
It does.
It's not healthy. Things don't function correctly on the inside. That's why losing some fat, all of a sudden energy levels go up. How you process foods go up. How you get rid of toxins out of your body goes up.
Yeah.
When you lose weight, all these things matter. And so that fat that's already encasing your organs is a small amount. When you add a bunch more to it, it's like suffocating your organs. It's causing your body not to function at a good level. So that's what fat and those things are for. So there's obviously, we were going over good carbs, bad carbs.
Yeah.
Protein, I won't say there's a good or a bad protein.
Well, I have protein questions. Can I ask them? Do we have time?
Yeah, go ahead.
I find this actually pretty interesting. So I always hear about lean protein.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is a lean protein as compared to a not lean protein? Like I understand like chicken, lean protein is like beef, not a lean protein. Are there different types?
When people say lean
protein,
when people say lean protein, they're talking the difference between like chicken breast, and chicken dark meat has a little higher fat, but it's still clean per se. If you eat a ribeye, you see all the fat in it.
Yeah,
it's not considered clean. I don't think it's bad. It's
all right. So the
lean animal fat, and some people process it well, and some people don't.
Okay,
you need fat in your diet. If you have a low fat diet. So here's the thing about fat. Before we get into the lean protein, let me touch on this real quick.
I have some fat questions.
You need fat in your diet because it helps. Like, guys that are big and muscular.
Yeah.
A lot of times they eat a lot of red meat, right?
Yeah.
Because you need fat to synthesize like testosterone and all these good things in your body that your body does. You need fat to do it.
Answering some of my fat questions.
But clean protein would just be like less fat in the protein.
Okay.
Like this has very little sugar in it. It's basically 40 grams. I just chugged because this is my lunchtime. So I was hungry. And so I drank this while we were doing the first podcast. But there's 0 added sugars. That's where you got to look at these things. 0 sugar, 3 grams of dietary fiber. You start looking at those things, you go, well, that's pretty clean.
Yeah.
But it tastes good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these clean things that taste like ass. I don't want them. Yeah. I won't drink them. And just like we're talking about doing the ketogenic diet and how hard it is to maintain it. If that thing tasted horrible, there's flavors of it that don't taste very good.
Yeah.
And that's why I only get the cookies and cream flavor because I'll keep drinking it because it tastes like almost like I'm getting a sweet.
It doesn't. Yeah. If you don't take it, that's not very effective.
Yeah. And if you can't do a ketogenic diet for the rest of your life, it's not going to be very effective. You're going to lose weight when you first start doing it. But as soon as you start eating regular food again, you're going to blow right back up to where you were. Because then your body's been starved for carbohydrates for years or months. And then all of a sudden you're going, oh, I lost 30 pounds. And then why'd it come back so fast?
30.
That's not fair. So that's the only difference is what is it coming from? Number one, was it breaded chicken?
Yeah.
Or was it,
all right.
That would be the difference between lean. What are the other extenuating factors? How much fat does it have in it? Did you put a bunch of breading on it? Those type of things.
That makes sense. My next question. What is the best source of protein? Would you go chicken, beans, red meat, pork? Like if you were going to say like this is probably your best way to get
not tofu.
I didn't put tofu on there.
Not
I don't know, like
Incredible Burgers.
If you put is chicken like the
I will
best?
say this too. There's some people that are they're anti-eating animals. Great. More power to you. Yeah. I make vegan meal plans for people. I make pescatarian meal plans for people.
I was raised on a farm. Like my first pet was a cow that we later slaughtered and ate. Yeah. And my brother
so did I. I grew up on a cattle ranch.
My brother said, "Oh, we're eating moo moo."
We ate pigs and animals that we knew that we were actually raised.
Painful memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I eat animals. So again, what is like the best source of protein?
I would tell you there's not a best source. What are your
red
goals?
Meat is the same as like if you have a lean red meat, is that the same as eating chicken?
Well, some people don't process red meat very good in their body, so that's not a good source for them. But if you can, red meat's not bad. Now there's certain cuts that are fattier, like prime rib. Tri-tip is my favorite red meat to make.
I
I make tri-tip. It's high. It has a high fat content. Is it as clean as a chicken breast? No.
But it's so much better.
But chicken, pork are going to be considered less fat on them.
Yeah. Especially
pork tenderloin. That's my favorite pork to cook.
Yeah. Mine too.
And I'm a big salmon eater. I eat a lot of salmon.
Fish.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful eating fish because
mercury.
You can have a lot of mercury in it. So there's times where I eat quite a bit of salmon.
Yeah.
But I like eating salmon that are. This is the difference. The stuff that comes out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And the rivers tastes better.
That's true.
Has better nutritional value, but also has higher mercury levels. Yeah. The stuff that comes from farms a lot of times show that the mercury levels are because these waters are more, conducive just for now. I know salmon farms or fish farms are horrible and those fish live a horrible life. I don't give a fuck, but that's not my thing. Yeah. I like animals and animal. Fish is a fish, like I'm not worried about how the chicken down the street's feeling.
Yes.
Does it taste good? All right. Was it properly prepared? Great. Then you served your purpose as being food for me. I grew up on a ranch,
it's amazing when you grow up on a farm or a ranch, how you look at
like when you have cattle out in the field and you have to work to bring them to the auction when you're a kid, when you raise animals and take them to the fair for 4-H or FFA, those are things that you go, these are for eating, they're not pets,
Right.
So chicken, pork, probably your two cleanest. I'm a big salmon fan too, but I'm not anti-red meat. Red meat's very good for you, and you need some fatty meat sometimes, and it tastes delicious.
I try to eat
the best tasting, the best taste. I'll eat a tri-tip or a ribeye.
Ribeye is my favorite. I take it back. Tri-tip. When you first said tri-tip, I was so excited because I just had one the other night. But ribeye is probably my favorite.
I like tri-tip because it's more. I can make a lot of meals out of it. Big old tri-tip. So there's not like a better or worse. There's a cleaner. There's less fat in certain things, but there's not like a better or worse. And also, some people really have a hard time processing red meat.
All right, so I have a fat question or two.
Yep, hit them.
So my Instagram page is flooded with nearly every.
You mean this fat or food?
My fat?
Oh, okay.
My Instagram is flooded with all these health stuff and health influencers. I don't know what I did to the algorithm to deserve such hell, but whatever I did, I apologize.
God, a lot of them
maybe
it
was
retards.
And this guy is like,
I watched some of them. There's some good ones, but there's some people out there that are spreading misinformation.
This guy claimed that he is like 3 to 4% body fat, and I'm like, that does not sound humanly possible. Is the normal?
It's humanly possible, but it's not a healthy state to live in.
What is a normal, healthy person's body percentage of fat? We're breaking out the big white book.
Since we're in my office, I'm going to show Brad a little bit of the American College of Sports Medicine body fat percentage in fitness. So,
what's healthy?
A fair. So let's start up. Unacceptable overweight, anything over 22% for a man. Yeah. 30% for a woman.
Wasn't I like at my heaviest? What don't you think that was like 40 or 50?
You were 40% is dangerously obese.
Yeah, I think that's where I was.
Chances of health problems go up significantly.
Yeah, I think I was in the 40s when I first saw you.
Fair and unhealthy, a man 18 to 22%.
Okay.
A woman 25 to 29%.
See, that's higher than what a lot of people think.
Most of the women I train are over 30% though.
Yeah.
So there'd be people I train that you go,
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
I can't get into names and stuff, but there's people you probably look at and go, oh, they're fit and healthy, but they're over 30% still.
Yeah. What happens if most of that 30% is just in her butt?
Acceptable. 15 to 17% for a man. Okay. 21 to 24 for a woman. I'm right around 15 on most of the time. I was down probably to 12 to 13% when I was training for the high rocks, and there's down where when I start seeing my six pack, I'm usually around 13-14%.
So I'm probably as healthy as a woman. I'm probably in a women category.
You're probably.
That's right, ladies. This is what you want to get to, ladies.
Did you do the contest this year?
Yeah. Right there, ladies.
Do you want to tell everybody what you were?
Yeah, I don't care.
You did a 3-site, which is.
Yeah.
Brad was 13.8%.
Woo! And I've lost 9 pounds since then.
So Brad was in the good to lean category, just at the top.
Whoop, whoop, barely. I'll take it.
14% to when you go
I
over
was
14%.
shocked. I went from like 44% to like 14%.
Yeah. But it's
thanks to this guy.
How many years though? Don't give people hope that it happens like overnight.
Oh, this was tough.
Yeah.
And maintaining it's not easy, but I'll tell you, maintaining it's easier than losing.
Yeah. So right now, probably now, although we look differently,
a little bit.
Our body fat percentages are probably around the same. I'd probably say I'm right around the same body fat percentage, 13.8, 14. And like when I'm really like lifting and trying to bulk
when
up.
When you were
Hydrox,
you were shredded.
I was probably 11.5 to 12%.
Yeah, I saw the difference. Like I could see when you really start to lean out.
Yeah. Okay. So and
that's
then
interesting. That is actually in some ways higher numbers than I thought for like the peak, but then it's like lower than I thought to be healthy. So I thought like if a guy was 22, that would be fit, but it's lower than that. So it was both. It was not what I was expecting.
Well, here's the deal. Your average dad bod.
Yeah.
It's going to be 18 to 22%, meaning they don't look muscular. They look soft.
Yeah.
They got a little bit of a paunch, a little bit of a belly.
Okay.
They don't got a lot of big arms and muscles or shoulders. You know, they're probably going to be in that 22, right around 22 to 25, depending on how much of a belly they have on.
So,
okay, well, let's go down because you're asking. Unhealthy, 4%.
Oh, so that guy was lying. There's no way he lives at 4%.
This is what bodybuilders when they get on the stage.
Yeah, and then pass out if they're not careful.
Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot of bullshit chicanery going on.
That's what I was trying to get at is like,
unless that person was about ready to step on the stage for bodybuilding, they were not at that percentage.
Like, what would you guess?
They were probably.
He's probably what, 8 to 10?
He's probably an excellent to very lean, but he carries a lot of muscle, so he has some fat on his body. You see.
You don't see the fibers.
You don't see the fibers, and you don't see that shreddedness. That would be more your extremely lean, your 5 to 7. Like that guy said, he was 2 or 3%.
Yeah,
I was at the lowest I've ever recorded myself at was 8%.
I cannot imagine being 8%.
So, and here's the thing: that was back when I was really into lifting heavy.
Yeah, I was.
So right now I'm about 205, 206 at about 14%, right around that zone.
Yeah,
I was 236 pounds at 8% body fat. I was shredded and yoked. I mean, think about adding 25 pounds of muscle on my body right now. But I worked out 6 days a week, 12 hours a week probably. I lifted heavy. I was taking every protein. No illegal stuff. I did not take any illegal stuff. Now androdiastine, which was back where like the Mark McGuire was taking, it was on, they saw it on his shelf and stuff. That was in the stores, and I was taking it, and those were precursors to steroids, meaning your body would produce and get a higher level of testosterone or growth hormone. But I'd never injected any like growth hormone or testosterone around the steroids. But I just loved working out and lifting heavy and trying to get as yoked as I could.
I cannot imagine you 30 pounds more muscular.
But think 30
that would be scary.
30 pounds of muscle. I have a picture when I weighed about 320 and I was in pretty big back in 2008, 2009. I can show you. Yeah. But I was just much thicker. Yeah. You know, I look like some big old body, bouncer type guy.
You just look like a brick shit house, man.
Yeah, that was big. And I wish I would have pictures from back then.
Yeah.
Because I've never been like, I don't walk around.
No, I would have. If I was
8%
body fat, you couldn't get me to put my shirt back on.
I took a picture of myself with my shirt off after about a week and a half after High Rocks. I went, oh crap, I should probably take a picture of myself when I'm lean like this.
When you're 87, you can
look
what I was in my 50s.
I did take a picture then, but back then I never took pictures, and I didn't have back when I was that lean.
Yeah.
I didn't have a cell phone that took pictures. I had a brick phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it just wasn't like people weren't in the gym taking pictures of themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
I had a digital camera, but I wasn't taking it to the gym and taking pictures.
We didn't have Instagram.
Yeah. So anyway, that's body fat percentage. That's from the American College of Sports Medicine. Yeah. And there's different companies that go over, well, you're really lean here. And, Weight Watchers and people that, will have different scales of how to. Then there's BMI. This is body fat percentage, not BMI, what we were talking about.
Yeah.
BMI is different. I'm not a huge fan of BMI. I mean, it's not real. It would tell you that I'm obese.
Yeah. Essentially,
because I have muscle on my body and I
Yep.
weigh a certain amount with my height ratio to weight. It's not a good reading of what, you know. Also, when I carried 236 pounds, I was sore all the time. I had to work really hard to keep that.
joints.
And my
probably.
one day I was like, man, my shoulders, my hips, everything hurts. And he goes, well, and back then, that's before I was a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about it, but he goes, well, you're carrying too much extra weight on your body. Your body's not built for this. You're not
No.
genetically a mesomorph body type. You're having to force this on you by eating
I know.
5,000 calories a day and taking all these supplements and lifting all this heavy weight. And he goes, your body's going to break down. He goes, you're built like a swimmer, you know? And
Yeah.
it made sense to me. He goes, it's just like an overweight person who has fat. He goes, you have a lot of muscle, but you're carrying too much weight on your body. And that was literally the point that I started like leaning out. I started not lifting quite as heavy. I worked out really hard, but I didn't care about the weight and the size anymore because my goal was to get to 250.
Well, I have to go soon, but you can keep talking. We can completely edit me leaving.
How long do you have?
I have another minute.
A minute? I didn't even get into high density lipoproteins
Well, you can keep
and
talking.
low density lipoproteins.
I can swipe and you can be here by yourself.
It's fine. Let me go over real quick. A lot of talk about high density, low density lipoproteins when it comes to like heart attacks and those type of things. High density lipoproteins basically are taking fat out of your body and waste. Low density lipoproteins are taking that fat and putting it in your arteries. And that's where a lot of plaque and heart attacks happen, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I want to go over real quick, and I've listened to a bunch of great doctors talk about this, actually listened to a book from one of those doctors that was really interesting. And it talks about how what we don't talk about enough in our society is sugar.
Yeah.
And he goes, sugar I've said this before on the podcast, but sugar inflames your whole body and causes your body to, inflammation is swelling, right?
Yeah.
The more sugar you eat, and we have so much added sugar and everything, and so many simple sugars, we eat so much sugar in our society, it's scary. And a lot of heart attacks aren't just caused by plaque buildup in your arteries, but caused by your heart being swollen from all the sugar. So you just think you take an artery.
I did not know that.
And you have a little bit of fat plaque in there, and half of it's clogged, but then it's swollen.
From all the Girl Scout cookies that I might have devoured.
And then all of a sudden, massive heart attack. And they go, you got to take this and you got to take that. Well, maybe if you didn't eat all the goddamn sugar and your heart wasn't swollen up and everything in your body weren't swollen up. This is the thing I like to always tell people is don't just think about the fat you're eating. Think about how much sugar you're eating. Yeah. It's not good for your joints. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for your lungs. It's not good for your stomach. It's not good for your muscles. It's too much sugar. Stop eating so much sugar, and that's the end of today's macronutrient discussion. I had a couple more pages.
Well, we'll do a part 2 because I have more questions.
We have too much other stuff to talk about. We'll get back to it. Like if people have if people actually ask questions,
respond.
If you have questions, I'll answer those questions on a future podcast. Just send them to Brad on Twitter or me on Instagram.
Before I go, I don't have thank you to the big guy.
I don't have a Facebook page for this. He was talking about the Facebook. I never created a Facebook page. I have an Instagram page for the Do It or Not podcast.
Yeah, I know.
So Do It or Not podcast on Instagram or on Twitter. He runs the Twitter. So when you see left-leaning political stuff, not me. And if you're on Instagram, I don't put any political stuff on there. Instagram, I'll just kind of post every once in a while. I'll make a post of him and I doing a show or like I took a little video of us, you know, when I was sitting watching it on TV. So, but if you have any questions, direct message me or Brad on those platforms, or you can get on my website, which is
and this
Roseville,
twice as many views as my solo one.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Casey.